Why are you waiting out front?
Wanted to see what you are wearing. Okay.
Think this is too much?
Yeah, it's a bit too
Chup.
much.
Come, andar cha.
Bilal Baig is the star and co-creator of the groundbreaking TV series Sort of. CBC describes it as the first Canadian TV show to be led by a queer South Asian Muslim.
I'm gonna get something to eat or drink or stab myself with. Anyone want anything?
The compelling comedy has received enthusiastic acclaim from critics. And as viewers continue to rave about the show to Baig, it's clear Sort of is connecting with audiences not just in Canada, but around the world.
You're so real. Thank you for being so real. I'm glad our kids have been exposed to you.
I'm glad I exposed myself to them.
For someone who hasn't seen Sort of, how would you describe it in a few sentences?
Sort of follows the life of the character that I play, named Sebi, and they're kind of in the middle of their 20s and moving through transition in every aspect, from sure gender, but also family dynamics shifting and work, and they're like super millennial and just moving through life, but also there's so many other wonderful characters in the show, and I love that we kind of apply the word transition to all of them.
And to what extent is Sabi autobiographical?
A little bit, but there is a lot of freedom and play and, yeah, a little bit of autobiography, but mostly, pretend.
It is a television show after all. It's not real life, but there are a lot of moments in there that feel very real. Right. And I want to play an excerpt now of where Sabi is told to boy up because an uncle is coming to visit. Let's just play that.
Mom, what's wrong?
That was Shehraz on the phone. He's coming here to take the donations to the mosque.
Get your brother to change his clothes. He won't listen to me. Your uncle and cousin will be here in 20 minutes.
There are consequences to our actions, Sabi.
I am not buoying up for them.
You can. ये क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पर?
There's lots in that entire scene that's interesting on so many layers, but at its essence, it's about this tension between Sabi, their background, and who they are today. And I mean, I assume that is a tension in your life that you've had to deal with for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of the messaging I was receiving from the world growing up was that we can only kind of be one thing, or if we know that we have this skin color or belong to this kind of faith, that's the box that you kind of stay in. But I think the world has been changing, continues to change, and I'm really excited about making space for the fact that nobody actually is one thing, and we all are a bunch of different things together. And I think Sebi's on that journey too.
The critical reception has been extraordinary. I can't think of a movie or a TV show where there's such unanimity among critics. They love it, obviously, and they seem to get it. On a personal level, in terms of viewers, what kind of reaction have you been getting?
I've had experiences where parents have told me that they, almost see their kind of queer, trans children in a not different way, but just in a, maybe it's a fuller or deeper way or something like that. You sometimes need art, like somebody who's not in your family, to be able to use them as a talking point or something, just to get conversations going, because sometimes it's hard to talk about identity stuff, and especially in family dynamics. And I have heard from younger folks too that their parents have started to use their pronouns more correctly through the show. And again, that's like awesome.
But from what I understand, you didn't have a lot of these conversations yourself growing up. Tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, it was fairly simple, I think is the word. We didn't grow up with a lot of money, and my parents were working a lot. You know, we understood that our parents were doing a lot of the heavy lifting on trying to make sure there's food and access to whatever resources they could get. So it was a fairly quiet childhood too, and a lot of non-conversations. It just didn't feel like there was time for that, I guess, you know. And yeah, that is a total difference from, I think, the kinds of conversations that Sebi and Ruffo, their mom, are having on the show.
You went to university in Guelph.
Yeah.
And there was an assignment where you were to write something that I guess really spoke to you, something that was very important. And so, as I understand it, the play was posing a question that you would like to put to your mother, like, am I good enough? How important was that experience, writing that play, for you?
You know, it poured out of me, and it was something that, you know, I imagine my body was wanting to explore artistically for a while, and I just needed the permission. Like, I needed that assignment, otherwise I'd probably be too scared to kind of do it on my own. And yeah, it was important at the time that I got to ask these questions about goodness, about the intersections of faith and sexuality and queerness and brownness, and let it be an artistic thing, you know? Like, there's ways to work things out in our personal lives through art, and it was like a really essential experience artistically for me.
Quick question, sort of is a comedy, right? Okay, but it's a weighty comedy, right? And it has heavy moments in it and poignant moments. And I want to play an excerpt from the last episode of the first season, and it's between Sabi and their mother.
Aksa was looking everywhere for you.
It's only gone for like a few hours.
When you are as important as you are, you can't leave people for that long.
Hey, what just happened there?
Your father is coming on the next flight he can find. He wants to fix you.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Don't go away from me.
I won't. If you don't go away from me.
So a powerful scene, and I couldn't help but wonder to what extent that reflects your relationship with your mother, if I can ask you that.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't. I'm not 100% sure if she's seen the whole show. So I think it was just a lot of information, you know, and like myself, she is a processor, and so I think she's still kind of like working through what it means to have a child who works in this industry and tells these kinds of stories, and also they're fictional moments that have a little bit of truth in them and a lot of hope in them. I remember that scene in particular when we were able to kind of find it in the writing. I was like, if we do this well, this could mean a lot for a lot of people because it offers a possibility. Like even the fact that Ruffo is sitting there in that bar, this queer and trans bar, like just that image is so striking and powerful. And if we can offer that to the world, you know, I think all parents, but particularly South Asian parents, maybe even more particularly Muslim parents, can kind of see the possibility that there are so many ways to love a child. And I still remember filming that scene and we couldn't even look at each other because we were crying before the cameras even rolled, and the director was like, I can't, you know, you can't start this scene bawling, both of you, you know.
There were 8 episodes in the first season of Sort of, and so you can, you know, TV can be speedy. You can resolve a lot of things by the end of an episode. Real life, not as simple.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it too. Like, I keep going back to the idea of Ruffo at the bar, like that, to get her to that place. You know, I think real life moves at its own pace, and things can be kind of slower if they need to be. And but I do have a feeling that like that image or other images in the show, if they do unlock some sort of a conversation, it's so cool to be a part of people's journey in that way, or evolution, you know? Like, it's why I find this work really challenging, but that's also really, that's the reward.
You've spoken about how this show has affected people and maybe changed the conversations that people have had in their families, and maybe just changed them. I'm curious for you, going through this experience, having this program out there, doing the second season of it, how has it changed you?
You know, maybe it's about, I think belonging is the word that's coming up for me. Like I was searching a lot as a kid around where to kind of go to be accepted or just settle in, like somewhere, anywhere, you know? And I fell in love with writing when I was like in high school, but was kind of imagining things and weaving stories as a kid. And as I grew up, I really was kind of writing to investigate feelings, you know, conversations that maybe I could never have actually in person or something. And it was a personal, artistic investigation over and over and over again. And it's all connected, like Sort of would not have happened if I didn't work on my play for so many years and kind of really articulate my like creative writing voice, you know? So I think sometimes we get stuck, especially I think about young racialized creators, queer and trans creators, this pressure that is there on making a story that's going to sell and, you know, reach everyone. And I think, you know, that wasn't my thinking when I was making Sort of. Like, it wasn't about how do I make sure that this becomes the biggest hit. It was like, is this an honest story? Mm-hmm. So it's a cool feeling to be like, this is who I am, this is who I get to be in these spaces, and there are options, and that's the biggest kind of realization for me. Like even years ago, I just didn't know that all of this could be possible.